Hi guys, this is my indoor aquarium that you're looking at, and the fish I have in here, those are mosquito fish. Some people call them mosquito minnows, but they're actually mosquito fish. And I got tons of them outside. They propagate like crazy, and there's a few in here. But what I was wanting to do today was a couple of things. First of all, I'm still trying to learn some editing programs. They did away with the one I got on my Dell computer, Movie Maker I think they called it. They did away with that one, and I had to readjust my computer, so since I did that, it wiped it out and wouldn't let it reload. But what I wanted to do is I'm 21 years old for the third time, a little bit over that. And it's really amazing, the older we get, how things change. I mean, I can give you a zillion for instances. I mean, no more since about the year 2000 do they want to call it BC and AD, before Christ, and such. Now they want to call it BCE, before current era. They're trying to do away, I guess, with the Christianity. It's okay to insult the majority of the Christians, but not okay to insult other groups, I guess. But anyway, getting out of religion, I could go into politics too if you wanted, but staying away from both of those, I just wanted to mention a few things that have kind of changed. For one of them is telephones. When I was a kid, we had telephones. They were those big things that were either attached to a wall, and you had maybe up to a 20-foot cord where you could walk around, move around the kitchen, since that's where many of them were. And sometimes they had a phone in the bedroom, and sometimes maybe in the den or the living room or something like that. And they were usually table models, something that sat on the table. And when you were talking on the phone, you pretty much had to stay where the phone was, or else you aren't going to be talking on the phone. But anyway, we had phones. We didn't have anything like a text. We had cameras, film cameras. You took your pictures, then had to take it to the drugstore or the film developing place and have the film developed, and then you could look at the pictures. We had movies, same difference. With the movies, if you were making your own movies, you took the movies, you took the film, had it developed, brought it back, put it through your projector, and so on. We had calculators to a degree, not really when I was a little kid. They didn't have calculators, but as I was getting older, as I was in my teens, they started coming out with the handheld calculators that would add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and they were quite expensive. But they started coming out with those in the late 60s. No such thing as GPS, not when I was a kid. Global positioning systems. Flashlights we had, they were incandescent, they used batteries up pretty fast. Games, we didn't have any electronic games. Pong came out, I think, in the early 70s, late 60s or something. But Pong did come out, a real simple game you could play on your television. But for the most part, everything was a board game. Comes in a box and had pieces, and like Monopoly and stuff like that. We had maps. They were all hard in books and in big maps on paper that would be folded up to about the size of a small book, but then open up to be huge. If you wanted to know anything about the weather, there were certain telephone numbers you could call on your home phone, or put a dime and later a quarter onto a payphone that was located usually on a corner someplace down the street, or at a convenience store where you could call and get the weather. We had radios, AM basically, but also FM came out. They had music players, but they're basically record players. There were voice recorders. They were taped, usually reel to reel back in those days. No such thing as computers for the most part. They did have some computers, but when I was going to college at the University of Arizona, a computer was in a climate-controlled building, double doors to get, insulated against any change in weather. And they were the size of an entire building for a very simple computer. And then later, in the 60s, NASA, obviously, we went to the moon, and NASA had some computers, but nothing near like what we have today. Anybody's home computer is 1,000 times better million times better than anything they had, and they went to the moon with it. We had clocks and watches, mechanical, most of them. We had a calendar that hung on the wall, paper calendar. Mom always had a timer in the kitchen, and there were stopwatches for sporting events. There were alarm clocks, and basically, again, mechanical, wind them up or plug them into the wall. For a language translator, you would have to use a book. There were translators in books. As far as encyclopedias are concerned, we had encyclopedias. They were hard-covered books, big volumes, and extremely expensive for most of them back in those days. Let's see, there were levels for carpenters to use, but most of anything you wanted to really learn about, you went to a library. You could go to a movie theater. They had outdoor theaters where you could just pull your car up onto a lump, and there were speakers all over the place. Grab a speaker, put it in your car window, and watch the movie was being projected onto a big screen hundreds of feet in front of you. TV remotes came out in the 60s, but they were hardwired to the TV, and most parents had remotes ever since the 50s even. That was called their kids. They'd tell their kids to get up and change the channel, and there were usually in most cities back then there were 3 TV channels if you lived in a medium to large size city. 3, that's it. I guess that's about it. What I wanted to compare this to, and why I was mentioning all this stuff, all those things I just mentioned and more, come on almost everybody's smart telephone today. A smartphone is an encyclopedia. Mine has a language translator on it. There are all kinds of apps that people can get to do all kinds of things. There are timers, there's stopwatches, there's calendars, there's clocks, computers, music players, radios. You can watch movies, you can watch channels on TV, you can get the weather, you can see maps, you got GPS, you got games you can play, you got a built-in flashlight on most of your smartphones for either viewing at night or for lighting up things when you're taking pictures of them. They have GPS, whether you want it or not, on a lot of phones, especially if you dial 911 at all. They all come with a calculator, a good calculator, does all kinds of stuff. Still camera, movie camera, that's all on there. And you can play back right now, and you can send to other people, even people that live across the world from you. And the text is a brand new thing, at least compared to 60-some years ago. Wasn't no such thing as text. So anyway, lucky us, we all got the smartphones now. So I hope the fish entertained you. I hope none of them flashed you. They like to get down and dirty when they get naked. So, okay, that's it for now.